Okay, just let me check YouTube if it actually went live. Yep, looks like it. Okay, let's post this. Post that. Yep, looks like it. What is up, everyone? Welcome to the new FPL stream, FPL season 2022-23. And I've got Rush with me as well. We are going to be looking at the teams, the transfer prices, and also probably just look. I guess the rules haven't changed. They're the same as last season for anyone who is new. It's nothing different there. The only difference is the extra, you could say, wild card in one way for the World Cup. Effectively making this, I think, how would you say it? I would say in terms of a technical word, we'll be looking at it in terms of sprints instead of like a longer set of planning and everything. So we'll have like 4 short sprints maybe of planning of certain, maybe about 6 game weeks for the first one. Then you effectively wildcard. Then you do your second team. World Cup hits, which means you basically get another wildcard for effectively the second half of the season. And maybe the middle of the second half of the season, you play your next wildcard as well, depending on how things go. So we'll see how it is. We'll look at the transfers. We'll look at the team prices. I've tried to avoid cost or player prices and all of that to try and kind of see what's going on. This is also a bit of a new in terms of graphics, everything that I'm trying out. So for anyone in the chat, Abdul Rahman has said it's been so long. Yes, it has been. I've enjoyed the rest. Rush, have you enjoyed the break?
Yeah, no, it's been it's like a long but short season. I feel like we just finished FPL last year, but also it's kind of exciting to be back now again. And the game is now released yesterday, and with new players, new transfers, new prices. It's exciting, I think. So next 1 month is going to be a lot of tinkering and a lot of drafts and a lot of fun. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Yep. So lots of stuff coming forward on the channel. A lot of content as well. FPL stuff. I've also got tomorrow another scheduled video. We'll be covering this season. We'll be covering the Australian Elite and Elite Qualifier Leagues as well. So I'll be doing a scheduled video tomorrow with FPL Planner, explaining the leagues and everything. So for those, even though you're not involved in Australia, it'll be good for you guys to kind of see how, I guess, the top probably 200k in the world, all of those managers probably finished in the top 200k, how their moves are, like what moves they're doing and everything, probably might help you improve your game as well. So all of that tomorrow, but let's probably start. Team ID, I just went auto pick to try and get a team ID, and then I realized I was like 400k because the game launched early in the morning in Australia. So much for 5-digit or even 3-digit team ID. Ended up with a 6-digit team ID. Have you made your draft?
I actually did. Interesting. I haven't checked my number. I created this morning actually. So I don't know, maybe. Yeah, I have done a couple of drafts. So I did initial auto pick drafts and I changed it around.
Yeah.
Probably half an hour later, I changed it again with completely new players.
Oh, okay.
It's interesting. Yeah, no. And I've done a bit of a tinkering as well. Doesn't look anything like that.
No, this is auto pick. This was me going straight auto pick, and then that's it. I didn't touch anything. I just set up the leagues. The league code is also down there for anyone who wants to join. X269WB. If you were in the league previously last season, you will be added automatically. This was just an auto pick one, and clearly Marcus Alonso and all of that I probably don't want. But let's probably look at the player prices and maybe I'll try and see what kind of draft you've done. And I'll probably do a draft video also on maybe Saturday as a live stream for the viewers as well if they want to get involved. Where do you want to start?
I don't know. Maybe I think we should just talk about probably just some of the new price points.
Yeah.
And do we have something to cover that?
Let's. Do you want to
changes?
Do you want to start with like goalkeepers?
Yeah, start goalkeepers. Why not?
All right. So I've got goalkeepers here right on the corner. The first thing I noticed was no more 6 million goalkeepers. Allison, Lloris, and Ederson the top three in terms of price, 5.5, which I think is pretty decent. This is based on their points as well last season. They have still 5 million, which fair enough. But I think, are you still going? Let me ask you this question: are you going with the Rams? Like a lot of people have been talking about Ramsdale, 5 million. Arsenal's fixtures at the start are pretty good as well. Are you going to be going with a 5 million goalkeeper, or is it like the 4.5 rotation or 4.5, 4 million? How's the plan?
I mean, it's interesting, right? I think so. It's interesting. I saw that as well in terms of the prices of a goalkeeper have reduced now. I'm not sure if FPL has done that because even though like you see like Allison, Ederson, who were all 6 million plus last year, they did give a lot of returns, but not at the expense of the value. So essentially, you would always still lean towards the $4.5 million keeper, trying to find that little golden gem, who have the big price rises with the sale of last season and stuff. But I think this is good because it kind of encourages people to have a bit more choices in goalkeepers. Because even though you have Allison and Ederson from like top teams who are proven to have many clean sheets, you'd notice that wasn't the big focus point for the top 100K or top 200K last year.
No.
Not many people went with that premium goalkeeper, so I'd say. So this is good where they're kind of balancing out the prices for some of the top teams, making it a bit more affordable. You'd see a lot more. I'm going to expect a lot more like a variation in goalkeepers this season.
Yeah.
With Mendy at 5 and, even at Alisson at 5.5, which I think is pretty good for where the top teams are. There are decent options at 5.5.
Yep.
So you could go that premium route of 5.5, which is not as bad as the previous years. But then again, I think the vast majority of people and the big favorite people have always been doing is that $4.5 million, the cheap goalkeeper options, which I think this season have quite a few, which could be
in the 4.5 million route. This is United Loney. I think who Henderson. He's 4.5 if I'm not mistaken.
Correct. He's
and he's gone to Nottingham Forest. So we'll probably see whether maybe Forest, if they can keep some clean sheets. Again, I think the fact that this time you had the opportunity to probably refresh your squad 4 times in the season compared to maybe 3 times, where out of those 3 times, one, after the first refresh, that next gap is a huge, pretty lengthy to 12 to 18 game weeks depending on where you play. But this one is more shorter. I think people might also experiment in terms of goalkeepers, in terms of picking the best goalkeepers for that bracket of fixtures instead. Might make planning easier, but at the same time, I think the game will become more competitive because of that, because it's shorter term planning instead of longer term.
Definitely. I think there's a lot more focus on those kind of fixtures, and with this whole World Cup stuff as well, it's probably going to be one. I thought COVID was challenging, but I think this is going to be more challenging.
Yeah. So we'll see.
After the last 2 years of FPL, I mean, last season wasn't too bad. It was kind of straightforward, but the year before and stuff where you have so many games getting postponed and cancelled and triple game weeks, I think this is going to be even more fun.
In the chat, there's a question. Is Pope a good option? Probably too soon to ask this question. What do you think about Pope?
Interesting. I mean, Newcastle is obviously a team that, they've got the money now. I'm still hoping, and I'm guessing they'll still have a couple more big signings before deadline day. It all depends. Newcastle is definitely on the team on the rise. They got bought over, and their focus is on, improving and getting better. And I think Pope is a good goalkeeper. How he fits in Newcastle, I don't know in terms of defense. But it'll be interesting. I don't think it's a bad shout. Probably sit and watch for a bit before you bring him in and decide to.
Yeah, that's true. Because it depends on where you bring him in as well, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
until game week 16 is the final game week before the World Cup. So effectively, I mean, depends on where you wildcard. If let's say you wildcard after game week 5, if you wildcard in game week 6, this is a good stretch of games to bring him in. But then for the remaining games, you might have a tougher run. So probably wait and see.
Yeah, I think it could be a good, interesting. I mean, Newcastle defense aren't that bad. They got Target, but they got Dan Burn as well, right? From Brighton, so they are bolstering their defense. And Pope is a solid keeper. I would say a more improved defense.
Yeah, the question is Pope at 5 million versus Ramsdale at 5 million.
Yeah, that's the consideration. Like, at price point, you can definitely look at a variety of other goalkeepers as well. Consider Ramsdale, even Raya, Sanchez. There's a lot of at that 5. It's there's a lot of choice. I think that's the thing. So it's a lot of wait and see with
Yeah, that's why I've sorted it down by like team selected by right now, just to see where everyone is at. And Mendy is right on top there. Kind of expected.
Interesting because I mean Chelsea have no centre backs.
That is one thing I wanted to bring up, because last season Chelsea were good because they had the likes of Rudiger, they had Christensen, all who have now left. Now, are we too early to? I kind of understand the fullbacks, and the fullbacks make sense because they are very attacking, but they don't have centre backs, which is true, and they haven't signed anyone yet as well.
Yeah, I mean Chalobah played pretty well last season. I assume he would probably start in straight into centre back role.
Yeah.
Starting role. And look, I mean, Chelsea's defense have been good. I know Rudiger and Christensen were a big part of it, but I still think the system is there. If they do get another centre back, I think Mendy would be a big steal at 5 million.
Okay. One to watch and see how they do in preseason as well.
They got pretty good fixtures as well to start off.
Yes, they do. They have very good fixtures. I mean, look at that.
So pretty much a nail on.
Yeah, until the World Cup, you're basically set with Chelsea.
Safely, 100%.
Yeah. All right, so let's move on to defenders. Now, let's sort this by total points. Starting point, Trent, no price change. What do you think?
I think it's good because any more expensive and he'll start becoming too broken. I mean, Salah's already gone too expensive this season, which will.
Wasn't he 30 million last season?
Don't worry, it's expensive, and this is the thing, right? Everyone will keep complaining it's expensive, and won't have him in his draft teams until the game week starts.
Yeah,
just an hour before they'll bring Salah.
We'll all spend a quarter of a budget, like last season, on 2 Liverpool players.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
I think Trent is priced interesting with Mane gone now as well. I feel like there'll be a lot more focus on Salah, especially, which means the route has to be there's going to be a lot more attacking opportunities, I believe, from like Roberts and Trent now. At least until Nunes and the attack sort of comes into play. But Liverpool defense have been solid last few FPL seasons and even real EPL as well. So yeah, that's always going to be Trent's always going to be a candidate to be in FPL teams.
Looking at the price points, I think they have priced some of the defenders pretty more affordable, I would say, like the likes of James, Cancelo, not too expensive. Trent also not too expensive.
Yep.
Do you think there'll be a huge big at the back to start the season?
I think so too. I think this season is going to be a bit different compared to previous seasons, where you're going to have a big 5-4-1, 4-4-2, 4-5-1 sort of structure. And again, that's primarily because of a couple of factors. One is, as you said, there's a lot more defenders who have good fixtures at that much more affordable price point.
Yeah.
At least in the terms of, like good FPL options.
Yeah.
But also, secondly, there's rotation as well. So there's going to be a lot of rotation that's going to be happening across the whole FPL with the 5-sub rule.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. That's important.
Yeah, definitely. I think it'll be interesting to see how teams operate that, because primarily in the 3-sub rule, the players that get subbed the most are usually the attackers.
Yes.
So you don't see many defenders getting subbed off unless they're playing for a contest style wing back team.
Yes.
You have your Emerson Royals and
Perisic now.
fully swap.
Yeah.
So having those solid nailed on defenders, I think is a key now, because you need players who are going to be playing majority of the minutes as well. So some game weeks you might not necessarily need them to score returns. You just want them to play.
Yeah.
That's the main thing, really.
They should be getting those clean sheet points at least 60 minutes.
At least something. That's exactly, and I think that's going to be the challenge this season.
Yeah.
It's something we haven't really dealt with before.
Yeah.
Even it's going to be new for EPL managers as well, who haven't really dealt with Champions League and Europa League experience prior to this one. So, which is apart from the top 8 teams or whatever. So it'll be interesting. So I would actually watch and see what kind of subs are being made. Like with the 5-sub rule. Surely they have to make all the subs. I don't see where teams aren't going to be utilizing that 5-sub rule, because I think it's going to be a bit more strategic now from the managers on how they use it.
Quickly just touching the chat as well. Hello, so Abdurrahman, FPL Bruno, Russell. Russell has asked, do I have a draft team yet? No, I do not have a draft team. I think I'll sort that out on Saturday, on a live stream on Saturday maybe, with you guys as well. So we'll do a draft on Saturday. FPL Bruno has been thinking of getting Kane instead of Haaland. We'll probably come to that discussion as well with regards to the forwards. And Russell has about 8 draft photos on his phone, and in the meanwhile, he's thinking whether Rafinha will leave Leeds or not, since he's a Leeds fan. So lots of things going on for him as well. Talking about now, obviously, in defense, the cheaper assets are something we probably need to have, right? Because you're going to have to balance it out. Something that caught attention as soon as the prices were released were the Arsenal Tomiyasu and White. I think this will probably speak with Roy as well when it comes on. But Tomiyasu and White at 4.5 million, given their decent set of fixtures to start off with, while facing only United probably in the first 8 itself, worth a punt on Arsenal player if they do well in preseason?
Yeah. I think Arsenal did really well last season. They ended really strongly. So if they carry on their current form, definitely I think that's a good option. I mean, I'm just with the new, with Ben White, obviously, they're getting Saliba back, right? Is Saliba already back?
I think so. I don't know. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, I think Roy's probably going to be the best one at this one, but it'll be interesting again with how they do their centre back rotation.
Yeah.
Whether it's still going to be Gabriel and White as their starting centre backs.
Yeah.
That will be always interesting with Arsenal defense.
And selected by the top defenders are like
Tomiyasu
really high
right
up
there as well.
Yeah.
Tomiyasu is pretty decent at 4.5.
Yep.
Sort of wait and see.
So we'll see how it goes. And shout out to Will also, who is in the chat. Hope you're doing well. All right, let's talk midfielders. Salah, 30 million, locked, sealed. Yep.
Forget about it again.
Captain him. Yep, done.
Let's move on.
Is there a case? Is there a case for Luis Diaz?
There's a very strong case for Luis Diaz, in my opinion. And that's, I think, twofold. So Salah, again, with I think the big factor for me is, and I'm there because I look at it a bit differently, is Mane.
Yeah.
Mane, in my opinion, was I would say a big reason as to why Salah was actually able to have the freedom he's having, because they're pretty much similar kind of players. They're both really fast on the ball. They're very attacking. They create a lot of attention to themselves. So someone that good on the other side of the flank, now gone, you'll need someone of that quality
exactly
to defense the focus away from Salah. So I still think Salah will be scoring goals, but it might not be at the level that we expect. Again, completely wrong. If with how they play with Nunes, and that'll be interesting to watch. All that things aside, you still forget about real life factors. Look at Salah and his stats. Doesn't matter what price he is. You just gotta keep him in your team. So, is there a case for Luis Diaz? Yes. if you don't want to go for Salah, you probably have to settle for Luis Diaz, which will definitely free up funds for you elsewhere. But it's going to be. I think it'll be interesting to see how like Diaz and Jota and stuff fit in, because obviously Jota's now a striker. Is he still going to be starting in that left wing spot? Which kind of, so that's so many questions right now.
Yeah.
That's the real thing. So
wait and see.
Hard to not talk about Salah.
Yeah. Russell has brought in a really good question with regards to what do you think about Son's price? Seems expensive. 12 million Son. Last season, 10.5 was affordable. 12 million, I think, is pricey. But like I said before, we're going to be looking in terms of sprints. So we just have to kind of like pick a week where Son's fixtures like this, the latter end of the season, look really tasty. And I think there will be a point where we all end up owning Son.
I agree heavily. I mean, Son has always been underrated in FPL, in my opinion. And I'm glad that he's actually priced higher than Kane.
Yeah.
It kind of attracts. I feel like he's been severely underestimated, and he's always been consistent performer. Just as to where he's been priced, he's always been a steal.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Even at 10.5, he's a steal. Honestly, even at 12, I think he's a very, very good shout. So I think he's actually priced. Finally, he's priced at the level where he deserves to price that. And I think I agree with you. We just got to pick the stints and watch Spurs closely to see how they're performing, because Spurs did start off a bit shaky last year, and towards the end, pretty much a must-own.
Yeah.
Which could work out the same this season, depending on fixtures and difficulties as well, where we could look to do the same thing towards the second half.
Yeah, so we probably don't need to start with Son unless he has an insanely strong preseason. Yep. But the fixtures at the latter end of the season look pretty good. So I think we'll be owning Son at the latter end of the season for sure. And maybe his price would have dropped by then. Next question is, in terms of midfielders, the United assets. Cheapest chips.
Yeah, the fillers, right?
Yeah, the fillers. 6.5 Rashford.
I mean, look, United could be a very, very good... it could be a differential in the sense of... It could be... Sorry, let me rephrase. It could be a differential for your budget.
Yeah.
Depending how they play.
Yeah, that's the question.
Really, really well. It's a massive steal at the assets they've got there in terms of prices. If Rashford starts at 6.5 and Sancho's at 7.5, and they finally got their groove again under Ten Hag, man,
it could be
a really good steal.
Yeah,
very, very good option.
So,
but then again, I'm talking as a United fan, and I'm having a lot of high hopes. So let's
we'll see.
Let's think more with our brain, not with our heart, I guess. So
yeah, I think monitor preseason, see how it goes. Yep. But for that price, I think it's a pretty decent decent value. But the start of the season is a bit risky. Liverpool in game week 3, I don't think I would probably start with United assets, maybe not. But I like the middle of maybe a decent set of run somewhere around.
Look, I mean, you can probably target those easy fixtures, and you might not go with the triple United, but you might pick the one asset. If you have it is all depending on team comp, obviously, but even defenders as well. You might, if Malacia comes at 4 million or 4.5, and
and starts,
it's crazy. Yeah, starts. That could be a good. And I think that's what people were doing last year as well. They had Luke Shaw for a while. Things like that could be an option just for difference. And look, United have to, and United need to find a way to come back this season. So
so one to wait and see. Someone who's been trending on Twitter recently because of Fabrizio's comment was, where is he? Andres Pereira. He's going to be moving to Fulham. 4.5 million bench option.
Yeah.
Could be someone, maybe, depending on where he plays. He's got talent, just not consistent. So we'll see how he does in Fulham. 4.5 million could be a decent option. And finally, let's get on to Fernandes. Do you think he'll improve?
I think so. I think he has to have a better season this year than last season. It all depends on the team comp as well. I think there's talks about Ronaldo, about his
leaving. Yeah.
in a way, it could work well for Bruno again. Indirectly, I don't know why, but Bruno had a pretty average season last season. He was pretty shocking. So he's got the qualities in him to have a good, rebounding. So I'm hoping for a bigger season from him, a much bigger season.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens with Bruno. Okay, now Will has said I'm going Darwin over Diaz, at least to start with. Diaz needs to work on his finishing. Trent and Darwin link up will be pretty good. So we'll have to see how that happens. And then he says, think Pereira almost nailed for me if he moves to Fulham. Same with Neto or Nico Williams if he goes to Forest. So yeah, we'll see. There'll be a few budget options. We'll be monitoring preseason as well. I'll do a couple videos during preseason, looking at players and everything. So we still have about 3 weeks to mess around with drafts and all that. So we'll see how it goes. Forward line, are you having Haaland or are you going to wait and see?
Well, look at the ownership percentage.
64.6.
The guy hasn't played a single game in Premier League, and excited to have him. So I'll be lying if I say I wasn't excited to have him too. And part of my last season goals was to start off strong.
Yeah.
To start off safe. So I think I'll probably end up going with Haaland, especially with that fixtures. I mean, look, it's a pretty decent start.
Yeah.
In the first 10 games. So, yeah, I mean, it's City end of the day, and under Pep,
Even if he doesn't do well in preseason, you'll go for him?
I think I have to have game week 1.
Okay, fair enough.
Unless he's not playing, unless there's news that he's not starting.
Yeah. Oh, imagine he doesn't start game week 1.
That could be a big shock. 64% of the people could be.
Yeah. I think it's hard to not go with Haaland. But we'll see how he does in terms of preseason and everything. Bundesliga players in general, when they've come to the Premier League, they've taken time to adapt. We've seen a lot of cases with Timo Werner did really well in Bundesliga. Sancho did really well in Bundesliga. Kai Havertz did really well in Bundesliga. So all of these attacking players have done really well in Bundesliga. But they've come to the Premier League and they've taken at least a season to kind of adapt. The numbers have fallen drastically down as well. Haaland could be maybe an exception because I think he's a really great striker.
Yeah.
But something we have to consider is the fact that I think City for the first time will have a pure number 9 who's not going to be drifting between other positions like a Gabriel.
I guess after Aguero.
Yeah. So how they switch, the same thing like Liverpool with Darwin Núñez, how they switch their styles will be very interesting to see.
I think if you look at Aguero, right, and that's where my comparison is okay, Aguero was a pure striker last in City, and he was scoring goals for fun, peak. And Haaland is coming from Bundesliga, understandable. He's a different breed of, in terms of his body type and the way he plays. I think he'll be very, very suitable for the Premier League. Again, like you said, brand new team, brand new atmosphere, different weather, different, team, brand, there's so much. So he has to adapt to all that. And, you can't expect him to score 30 goals the first season.
Yeah.
Which is what everyone's probably dreaming of now.
I probably won't expect it as well. No.
Probably, but it's more like,
20 at least.
Thing that he's joining the champions, right?
Yeah.
Joining the champions who already won the league. He's joining Pep, probably one of the best managers in the world. They're coming off a championship. They're coming off a high. So they'll be in good spirits and good motivation. And he's going into a very happy and motivated dressing room.
Yeah.
And look, they paid so much money for him, so might as well play him. Right?
Fair enough. They paid a shitload of money for him. But we'll see how it goes. Abdul Rahman has asked, Kane over Haaland for the first few games. Are we overlooking Kane? The one thing I will say is Kane has always had a very slow August. Almost every time for the last couple of seasons. So I don't know whether it'll change this time. Because previous times I would say he kind of had international games also, like tournaments and everything that popped up. But he's always had a very slow August. So I'm not rushing on Kane.
Yeah.
Because especially given our budgets and everything where it'll go, I think we can kind of wait on Kane before getting on him. But yeah, what thoughts?
I think for me, I actually don't mind a Kane start, and that's because of the fact that yes, last season, that was part of the reason was he had the contract issues at the beginning. You know, he had that whole City drama of, you know, is he going to go City? Is he not going to go City? And that kind of, you know, he was just having a lot more off the field issues early on. But towards the end, we saw what kind of player he was, and he was in crazy form. So he finished the season with like his last 10 games or whatever was insane, along with Son. So he could potentially ride that form into the beginning as well. And now that, you know, they're a bit more gelled up with Conte and they're getting all these new signings with Perisic, and I'm not against it, essentially.
Yeah, fair enough. I think come end of season, we're going to have Son and Kane in our teams for sure. This run is too good.
Yeah.
This run is too
but
good.
Just to answer Abdul Rahman's question,
Yeah.
in the beginning, it could be, you know, it could be a punt over Haaland, because you don't know Haaland's making. As you said, we just about Haaland, but we don't know whether Haaland's going to perform.
Yeah, that's true.
Proven himself in the Premier League already. Yeah. You know, even though Spurs haven't won much, he's still going to go down as one of the highest goal scorers in the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? So it's an interesting case. It's an interesting case, definitely.
Yeah, it's proven talent over hype at the moment. So we'll have to see where you go. And then Will has asked, have you looked at Awani? I don't know how if I'm spelling this correctly. Awani, I don't know which team he's.
Awani,
yeah. Here we go. Nottingham Forest. He has really good underlying stats apparently. I haven't had a look yet. Do you know much or?
I don't know, but I just his underlying stats are probably is not in the Premier League, right? Because he hasn't played before. And this is the thing as well. I mean, these new teams are good. I when they come to the Premier League, that's where things change. Like you saw Tony, Mitrovic is coming off like 40-something goals. Yeah. It's not the same. Like that's one thing people have to consider is Premier League is not the same as the Championship or the Division 1, whatever. You're playing against some of the best defenders and some of the best players in the whole world. You know, the Premier League is still probably one of the best comps in terms of competition. The most, your 15th strongest team is probably the 5th strongest team in La Liga or something, right? But I think underlying stats is good. It's definitely on the player to watch. You know, it's more like you want to see how these new teams is always a watching game for us. You can't really predict based on game week 1 how they perform. You got to watch preseason. You got to watch how they perform in an eye test as well.
Yeah.
One, and then make your choice.
Yeah, that's true. And then the final thing we'll probably touch on strikers. If I asked Roy this, he might say he'll be probably Arsenal biased, but Gabriel Jesus, I feel at 44% ownership, given the fact that he doesn't really score that many goals in the Premier League.
Yeah.
Do you think it's just
interesting, right? Yeah, it's interesting. The top 3 premium strikers in terms of most owned are all new players and new teams.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of hype in a way. And look, there is a case, right? There's definitely a case to bring Jesus in because of, Arsenal. But I just think these numbers, these percentages are mostly based on hype. I don't think it's really, I don't see Haaland and Jesus being in your team. I think, would you have them for 38 games?
Who, Haaland and Jesus?
Haaland and Jesus going to be your primary strikers.
No, I wouldn't have Jesus for 38 games, no.
That's the thing, right? So Jesus, I know he had a decent season last season.
Yeah.
Our strikers haven't really proved themselves. Aubameyang.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not like it's just like, so I would have more trust in Haaland than Jesus.
Yeah.
Even Nunez as well. It's not something that Liverpool have traditionally had that position to like score too many goals in. Because they got to change their attacking game style, right? Like, so Salah and Mane come from the wing. You don't see Firmino as the top goal scorer every season. You had Jota playing in attacking as well. It's interesting in the sense that where we talked about going back to Jesus, I don't know if I trust him without him, because he's never played that pivotal striker role.
Yeah.
Much attention on him. He's always been in the City where he's kind of been flown under the radar a little bit. But he's got the world-class caliber around.
He comes in glimpses as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he'll definitely play striker there because I don't think he'll play right wing like he at City. Arsenal have a lot of young prospects in the midfield and attack, which is so with Saka, Martinelli. Yeah, I think it'll be a good team to watch. Arsenal will definitely be a good team to watch once again this season. Is he going to be a top goal scorer this season? I don't want to find out.
We'll have to see. Yeah. Will has said, so Will is a Liverpool fan, and he's like, we do spam crosses though, so won't need to change up the playstyle that much to fit Nunes in. Fair enough.
That's true. That's true.
So we'll have to wait and see.
And that's why we talked about the Trent and Robertson value as well. Could be pivotal. Again, I guess I agree with him, but in the sense that Darwin Nunes is still, a different kind of striker to Firmino or Jota. But then again, we've got to take into consideration it's the Premier League, and they need to adapt first.
Yeah, fair enough. And
I'm a bit skeptical, but that's the reality.
It's fair enough. That's how we had to be. Yeah, we had to wait and see preseason and everything. And then finally, Shubharan Singh has said, what are your thoughts on Solanke and Mitrovic? So I think we kind of answered Mitrovic, where 40 goals in the championship. Yep, I think the championship is a very competitive league and it's a tough league. But when we've seen all these teams come from the Champions League to the Premier League and all their strikers, we saw Tony last season. The numbers dropped significantly. Now, Mitrovic has been in the Premier League before, and we know he has scored goals before. But it's still, I wouldn't expect the same numbers. No way. I would expect a significant drop down. The question is, do you want a second striker at 6.5, or are people going to end up with like a 4-5-1 type system? Depends on how people's budgets are and where they structure it.
I think I don't think so. It all depends on how you want to strike. Play your formations. If you're going with a 4-3-3 or a 3-4-3, which in previous seasons could have worked, where you would have had a third striker at 6.5, I think Mitrovic would have been fine. But just in the terms of dynamics of this season, where you've got heavy at the back and midfield, it's gonna be a big gamble to really bring in Mitrovic in as your primary striker, definitely. But even as a secondary striker, it has to be really as a differential option, because I feel like there's a lot more options as well. In this page, you can see right now in strikers with Tony. Undav is meant to be another.
Yes, he's supposed to be pretty decent as well.
Cheaper option as well. Jota again could be a good option if Diaz hasn't clicked, and I think Jota still will play a lot. Where with the 5-star rule, especially Jota always came off the sub off the anyway. And there's still Champions League, and which Liverpool will still fight towards it. There's a lot of other cups, so Jota will definitely play. So I think again it's going to come down to those top teams.
Yeah, fair enough. That's true. And then finally, one thing I would say is try the start of the season. You have to be flexible as well. So don't lock in your squads into selective players where it then becomes hard to move away from, because start of the season is when we go, oh, this is not what we expected, and then we start moving things about. So try and be flexible at the start of the season. That will help you adjust as well for the rest of the season, because end of season and all of that, by then we know how the players are, what we can trust and all of that. But yeah, that's basically what I've got. And then Shubharan Singh said, when you look at like Martinelli or Rashford at 6.5 versus a 6.5 million forward, the answer is pretty simple, which I kind of agree with. You tend to go in the midfield, more points as well. And there's a possibility that Rashford could play striker. You never know. So we'll have to see.
I think, I'm not against Mitrovic at 0.5, definitely not. Like you said, we just got to be a bit more flexible, adaptable. The first few games. We got an extra wild card again this season, which will be interesting. There's going to be, like Ryan said before, it's going to be more sprints rather than a marathon. So there's a lot more long-term plan. There's a lot less long-term planning and more strategic short-term planning. I guess the big target is really try to get those players playing much as possible. In which case, Mitrovic is pretty much the nailed-on striker for Fulham, so there's not much rotation risk with him. You could still have an argument that you'd start him over Rashford in the case, right? Just because of your minutes. And if Fulham, for whatever reason, come back a bit different and they're playing differently, you can never say. could be good.
Yep.
Like Brentford had a glimpses last season.
True. Cool. I think we'll probably stop it there. It's a short stream. They're about averaging about 10 viewers in the stream, which is pretty good. Make sure to hit that subscribe button as well, guys, if you are new. The goal for this season is to try and get to 1,000 subscribers. So hit that subscribe button. Yeah. Hit the bell icon, hit the like button as well. Thank you to everyone who was in the chat, starting from Abdul Rahman, FPL Bruno, Russell, Will, Shubharan Singh, for all of you guys who got involved in the chat as well. And also the league code. The new league code is right there. If you haven't joined the league, make sure to join X269WB. That's the league code. The auto join link is also in the description if you guys want to. Plenty of content coming tomorrow. We'll be talking about the Australian Twitter leagues, the Elite League and the Elite Qualifier League with FPL Planner. So a lot of content coming for you guys. And I'll do a live draft video on Saturday as well. This is not my team. This is just our auto select team. We'll have a look on Saturday with regards to a draft. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out.
See you guys.